Let me call tonight's meetings to order, and the first order of our business is the local planning agency meeting. I'm going to ask the clerk to call roll.
Mayor Weissman,
Here.
Vice Mayor Weinberg,
Here.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Here.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Here.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Here.
Commissioner Shelley,
Here.
Mr. Soroka,
Here.
Mr. Wolpin,
Here.
Commissioner Landman is absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. I know Nathaniel Manner's here because I saw him. Where are you, Nathaniel? Will you come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Can I please ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes of May 2nd, 2017?
I'll motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Narodsky. Can I have a second by Commissioner Shelley? Can I please ask for a roll call vote?
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg,
Yes.
Mayor Weissman,
Yes,
Commissioner Landman is absent. The motion passes.
thank you. The first order of business for public hearing is a motion recommending the adoption of the following ordinance, and I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the ordinance to be considered.
Thank you, Mayor. As to this rezoning ordinance, item 4 on the Planning Commission, local planning agency agenda, whatever testimony and input is given at this proceeding will be incorporated into the record as this item appears later on the agenda of the commission this evening. And accordingly, after I read the title of this ordinance, the city clerk will administer the oath to any witnesses on this rezoning item, since the quasi-judicial procedures are hereby invoked and are applicable. An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending the official zoning map of the City of Aventura by amending the zoning designation for a 2-acre parcel of land located on the north side of Northeast 213th Street, as more particularly described in Exhibit A to this ordinance, from B2 Community Business District to MO Medical Office District, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. At this time, if you could ask the city clerk to administer the oath to any witnesses. Thank you.
If you will be providing testimony on this item, I need you to raise your right hand and be sworn in at this time. You're going to be making comments on this item on the local planning agency meeting. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, can I please ask for a motion recommending the adoption of this ordinance?
Motion.
Made by Commissioner Shelley. Can I please have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Mizrahi. I'm going to ask our Community Development Director, Joanne Carr, to please present the staff report. We've got a packed house in here, so if you want to see the report, we're very live. All you have to do is look at the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff requests that the local planning agency recommend approval to the City Commission of an amendment to the official zoning map of the City of Aventura by amending the zoning designation of a 2-acre parcel on the north side of Northeast 213th Street from B2 Community Business District to MO Medical Office District. And I'll put up a map showing the plan. This is Biscayne Boulevard, Northeast 213th Street. The property owned by Gulfstream Park in the City of Aventura runs east from Biscayne Boulevard to approximately northeast 34th Avenue, from the north side of 213th Street to the county and city limit. The applicant is Gulfstream Racing Association, Inc. Its original land holding in the city contained 39.2 acres of vacant land on the north side of 213th Street, with the westerly 19.5 acres, this, zoned B2 community business, and the easterly 19.7 acres, this part, zoned medical office district. In 2006, the applicant deeded a 7-acre parcel of the easterly portion to the city for the development of Waterways Park, which is located right here, leaving 12.7 acres in the MO district parcel. The applicant and the city have now entered into an agreement of purchase and sale for sale to the city of a 2-acre parcel, which is shown in blue on this map, immediately adjacent to the west of Waterways Park. And it is currently part of the applicant's land that is zoned MO Medical Office District. The applicant is requesting that the 2 acres of its westerly parcel, which is zoned B2, be rezoned to MO Medical Office District, and the rezoning parcel is shown in red, 2 acres, to replace the 2 acres to be conveyed to the city. The original 19.5 acres of the B2 parcel would then be reduced to 17.5 acres. Staff has reviewed the application using the standards for review of proposed amendments to the official zoning map contained in section 3177 of the City Code, and finds that it does meet those criteria. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, let me ask if any member of the commission has any questions about this item or any comments. Okay, seeing that there is none, I'm going to open the item for public comment. I'm going to request that anybody that wants to speak on this item state their name and address for the record. Is there anyone that wishes to speak?
Good evening. My name is Ivy Ginsberg. I need to give my address.
Yes, please.
3610 Yacht Club Drive, Aventura, Florida 33180. I live in Portsview Condominium in the Waterways area. I understand the zoning issue between the MO and the B2. I really don't take issue with. What myself and my neighbors have an issue with is the vehicular access restriction being lifted, enabling traffic to come in and out of the gate of Gulfstream that's on 213th Street. And while this transaction or amendment to the ordinance is really talking about, it doesn't really discuss this proposed charter school at all. What it's doing is it's giving the Gulfstream Race Group a 7-year extension of the term to develop a 480-unit condo in the future. And it's modifying the vehicular access restriction that's been in place since 2006. And the reason that restriction was put in place was so that our area in Aventura would not be adversely affected by people leaving Gulfstream Park for whatever they were doing there and trying to head either towards the Intercoastal, towards the Lehman Causeway, and to keep the congestion. And that was a concession that was made at that time in 2006. And now that the city has decided, based on many residents that would like a school, they now are going to do this deal where we're going to take 2 acres that's next to Waterways Park and make a school. And I certainly would prefer that it be at some other land, but I don't expect that I'm going to get my way. So what I'm asking is that the city will mitigate the traffic and the congestion to the people and the neighbors that live in the Point and the Waterways and Marina Cove and that whole area, because that is our only exit point. The only other way we have to go is 34th Avenue, and now that 207th Street has been substantially developed, we're stuck. We have no way out. and it's not fair. I also don't know if it has to be done, but I don't see any information in the materials, and I reviewed almost every page of the agenda and the back documents. I don't see a traffic study. And in the past, the city has done an evaluation and appraisal report, and I don't see any of that. Again, I feel that my main issue is the vehicular restriction access, and what I would propose as part of this deal is that all of the entering and exiting for the school be done through Biscayne Boulevard, through a Gulfstream entrance, and avoid 213th Street altogether.
Ivy, if I could, the item that you're talking about where it relates to the modification to the vehicle access, that's item 8B, so we'll be discussing that. That's a modification to the development agreement that addresses the access off of Northeast 213th Street. So you're welcome to come up and speak on that. The only thing we're doing at this point is rezoning the 2 acres.
Okay, I didn't understand that, so
No problem.
you can just assume that my comments would be the same, and I'm not going to come up and repeat them.
Ivy, thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that wishes to address this item? Okay, if there are no comments, if you wish to address this item about the rezoning, okay, I need you to come up to the microphone and state your name and address. Okay. All right. Then there are no comments. I'm closing it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Dr. Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg?
Yes.
Mayor Weissman?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman is absent. The motion passes.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the local planning agency meeting.
Moved.
Moved by Vice Mayor Weinberg. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Narotsky. I'm going to declare the Land Planning Agency meeting closed and adjourned. The next item of business is the City Commission meeting for June 14th, 2017. I'm going to ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Weissman?
Here.
Vice Mayor Weinberg?
Here.
Commissioner Dr. Marks?
Here.
Commissioner Mizrahi?
Here.
Commissioner Narotsky?
Here.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Mr. Soroka?
Here.
Mr. Wolpin?
Here.
Commissioner Landman is absent. You have quorum.
Thank you. And before we go any further, and it was remiss of me not to do this earlier, I'm going to ask for a moment of silent meditation for the shootings in D.C. and the shootings that are happening all over our country, and I'm sorry I didn't open with that. So can we please have a moment of silence? Okay, thank you. City Manager, are there any deletions or additions to the agenda?
We have a request to move items 7, 8, and B before item 6. So I just need a motion if that is what the commission would like to do.
Can I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Moved by Commissioner Narotsky. Can I have a seconded by Commissioner Shelley?
Thank you.
As we are dealing with items that involve Aventura Hospital and Medical Center, and I am a member of the board in the past, Chair of the Board of Trustees, I am going to recuse myself for these items, and Vice Mayor Weinberg will take over. Yeah. Oh, okay. Then let me ask the commission if there's any item you'd like to remove from the consent agenda. Okay, then I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote. Wait a minute. Can I have a motion approving the consent agenda?
Motion.
Made by Commissioner Shelley,
Second.
seconded by Vice Mayor Weinberg. Can we have that vote?
Commissioner Dr. Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes.
Commissioner Narosky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg?
Yes.
Mayor Weissman?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman is absent. The motion passes.
Okay, so we'll move on to 7A. It's a quasi-judicial hearing, so I'll ask the city attorney to read the procedures
Thank
and
you.
to read the first resolution.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This quasi-judicial portion of the agenda commences with items 7A and 7B, and will also continue on to item 8A, all of which will be subject to the quasi-judicial procedures. For these quasi-judicial procedures, the commission makes its decisions based on the evidence presented. Accordingly, in accordance with the quasi-judicial statement, which is incorporated into the record and the procedures of the city, each person who desires to offer testimony on the item 7A, 7B, and item 8A will be required or requested to do so under oath, and all testimony will be considered by the City Commission. The first item, 7A, for quasi-judicial public hearing, is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting approval of a variance to Section 31-144, F4C of the City Code to allow a reduced front yard setback of 39.9 feet where a minimum 50-foot front yard setback is required, and granting approval of modification of variance to Section 31-144 F4D of the City Code to allow open space of 18.1% where open space of 21.8% was approved through Resolution 2016-20, and 33% is required by code, and granting approval of modification of variance to Section 31-144 F4D to allow a floor area ratio of 1.56 where a floor area ratio of 1.38 was approved through Resolution Number 2016-20, and 1.28 is permitted by code, all for a three-story expansion to the south tower of the Aventura Hospital at 20900 Biscayne Boulevard, City of Aventura, Florida, and providing for effective date. At this time, if the city clerk would administer the oath to all persons who desire to offer testimony on items 7A and 7B, which concern the hospital, and item 8A, which concerns the rezoning of the 2-acre parcel, which was previously this evening heard by the local planning agency.
If you will be testifying on items 7A, 7B, or 8A, I need you to stand up, raise your right hand, and be sworn in at this time. These are 3 items. If you're planning on speaking, I need you to be sworn in at this time. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. For the record, Commissioner Landman is here. I think you were caught in North Miami Beach traffic, and then things opened up when you hit Aventura, as I understand.
Yes, yes. No, downtown traffic, so I apologize for being tardy.
Let me ask the commission for a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion.
Made by Commissioner Shelley, and second, please,
Second.
Commissioner Landman. And now, if our Community Development Director, Joanne Carr, present the staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I've been sworn in. I would like to enter the staff report into the record. Staff is recommending approval of an application for variance for reduced front yard setback, for increased floor area ratio, and for reduced open space to facilitate construction of an addition to the south tower at the Aventura Hospital. The applicant has submitted an application for administrative site plan approval for construction of a 3-story, 86,900 square foot, 60-bed addition to the south tower at the Aventura Hospital. Through that site plan review, it was found that the front setback, open space, and floor area ratio required variance approval by the City Commission. I'll put up a location plan. The site subject of this application is the Aventura Hospital and Medical Center, bounded by Biscayne Boulevard to the east, East Dixie Highway to the west, Northeast 209th Street to the south, and theoretical Northeast 112th Street to the north. And this is the site plan, the proposed site plan for the addition. The addition is shown in yellow highlight. This is a 3-story addition to the south tower at the hospital, fronting on Biscayne Boulevard. The hospital campus is zoned MO, Medical Office District, according to the city's zoning map. The hospital is permitted use in this district. The addition is proposed to be located to the east of the existing 8-story south tower. It will house 60 new patient beds, waiting rooms, staff workspace, lounge, and storage rooms. Construction will necessitate demolition of 135 surface parking spaces that are right under where the new addition will be built. The applicant has provided confirmation in writing that it will lease off-site parking spaces, provide shuttle service for hospital employees, and increase valet services during construction to mitigate the temporary loss of those parking spaces. The development proposal also includes construction of a 5-story, 506-space parking garage on the north side of the campus up here, and that is subject of a separate variance request on tonight's meeting agenda. Once the new garage is constructed, there will be 2,672 parking spaces on site, where 1,991 are required by code, so there'll be many access spaces. Traffic circulation will be improved by construction of a right turn deceleration lane coming south on Biscayne Boulevard into the northerly entrance, by expansion of the southerly exit-only drive into entry and exit, and by providing a dedicated delivery-only entry-exit from Northeast 28th Avenue and delivery parking to the south here of the new tower. Pedestrian access will be improved by providing an internal sidewalk and crosswalk to connect the hospital entrance to the Biscayne Boulevard sidewalk, and it'll be in this location. I'll put up a rendering of the new building. This is what it will look like from looking from Biscayne Boulevard, and this is looking internal to the site. So you can see architecturally they have blended it with the existing architecture of the hospital. Look back at the site plan now. Variance approval is required for 3 site development criteria. A front yard setback of 39.9 feet, where a minimum 50 feet is required by code. This reduced setback occurs at the southeasterly tip of the building. Most of the building does meet the 50-foot setback, except where the lot narrows here at the south end. The next variance is reduction of open space from currently they have 21.8% approved through resolution 2016-20. It's decreased to 18.1% with this construction of this new building. And the other variance, the third variance, is for increased floor area ratio. That is the amount of square footage of building, where of 1.56, where the floor area ratio of 1.38 was approved through resolution 2016-20. The reduced front yard setback results from the unique shape of the east portion of the hospital campus that terminates in this triangle at the and narrows at the southern limit, from configuration of the existing hospital buildings and the need for efficient connection to the existing buildings. The 3.9-foot setback again occurs just at the southeasterly tip of the building. The reduced open space from 21.8% to 18.1% results from the construction of the new tower and is proposed to be mitigated by additional landscape plantings along Northeast 209th Street and along Biscayne Boulevard. The increased floor area ratio from 1.38 approved in 2016 to 1.56 is for the additional 89,600 square feet of tower addition. And again, due to the unique campus that is divided, you'll see there are three portions of the campus: east portion, west portion, north portion, both divided by public streets. And therefore, they have to be evaluated separately for zoning purposes. If the proposed floor area with the new addition was calculated on the gross lot area of the entire campus, it would be far less than what is permitted by code. So staff is recommending approval with the following conditions: that the plans submitted for building permit substantially comply with the plans submitted with this application, that a building permit be obtained within 12 months of the date of the resolution, or the approvals shall be deemed null and void. The City Commission, however, may grant up to a 6-month extension of that approval for good cause shown by the applicant. And prior to the demolition of the existing surface parking spaces in this area, the applicant shall provide to the city in form acceptable to the city manager a plan showing the location of off-site parking, of the operation of an employee shuttle, and the increase in valet services during construction of the project. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions by the commission?
I have a brief question. Joanne, I know there's another ordinance coming up that we're going to be looking at regarding another aspect of what they're going to be doing on the site.
The parking garage, yes?
Yes. And you talk about that some of the conditions of this are that they're going to have access to off-site parking, et cetera, for these things. Is there any way that these two ordinances that are going to be presented tonight can be tied together so they cannot do one without the other? Meaning you have the off-site parking garage that you're building, and that's going to be one of our other items we're looking at. But is there a way to tie this together with that and not limit it only to shuttling, et cetera, et cetera?
I can ask the applicant to address the construction. That's fine. I'll ask the applicant's attorney to address that.
Thank you.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Commissioners. Alex Tatsman and Judson Bowen on behalf of Aventura Hospital. Commissioner, that's fine. We're presenting it in two items just for the sake of convenience, since there are multiple variances, but we won't do one without the other.
Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to make sure that we could tie the two together and not have it limited, just in case for any reason one happens, one doesn't, et cetera. But I would appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Commissioner Rodsky?
If you could just outline for us the proposed construction timeline.
Let me have Adam Mail come up, who's the Director of Plant Operations. He'll be better versed in that than I will.
Thank you. I'll be brief. We expect the parking garage to take approximately 1 year and the new tower to take 18 months to 24. Right now, we would hope between August and October of this year for both projects.
So to start between August and October for both projects.
Correct.
And read the timeline again, please.
The parking garage should take about 12 months and the tower would take 18 to 24.
Can I ask?
Commissioner Marks?
Can I ask if you are starting both segments simultaneously?
The plan is to start both between between August and October, depending on the other approving organizations, ACA and, city, county, et cetera.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yeah, going along with that question, due to the fact that we're going to be eliminating parking, is there any way to tie together again that without the garage being CO'd, the new addition cannot be CO'd? So there's adequate parking to handle all of these new additions?
Commissioner, we're flexible. I'd rather if we didn't do that. The South Tower is adding 60 beds to a hospital that's already at capacity. And to the extent that that might be available with CO 3 months before the garage, I'd rather not keep that closed since we have such a need from the community. So we're happy to make a covenant to say we can't do one without the other, but I would prefer not to tie the COs in case one is finished by the other before the other. I'd like to take advantage of it for the benefit of the community.
All right, well, based on the timeline that the garage is 12 months and the building is 18 months, if we say that they have to start simultaneously, that would be satisfactory then.
We agree to that.
Okay.
Any other commission questions? Oh, while the applicant is up here, if there's any other comments you want to make, feel free.
If I could just say that, both projects have been funded and money has already been spent towards both projects. So we're not looking to do one without the other.
Okay,
I have a couple more questions if I could.
sure.
For the applicant, and I don't know, Joanne, if you're best to answer it, but in terms of just for all the back and forth is here that we're allowing for an expansion, and that's going to obviously come with a little bit additional congestion. Those are things that we worry about. I know I do myself, and that's why the parking is such an issue. What is the current hospital capacity? And I know that we're adding 60 beds, and if you could also touch on, Aventura Hospital is now, and thankfully it is a trauma center. Can you maybe explain who's using the hospital? Is it Aventura residents? Is there any way, do we know? Is there any tracking on that? Is that legal to track? I don't know.
Commissioner, I'm calling up Chief Operating Officer who's here, Luann Ansaldo, and she should be right here. And let me just comment briefly before Luann speaks that the hospital is at capacity right now. Even though it's summertime and we're usually at a bit of a lower ebb at that point, it's actually at capacity right now. So the added beds are really desperately needed to serve the community. And as far as the parking is concerned, there's certainly commentary in the community that there's a parking shortage on the campus, and we hope to address that with the additional spaces. And Luann can give you more information on the demographics you request.
Good evening. So the hospital currently is 407 licensed beds, and we will be adding 60 beds. It has not yet been determined whether those will be all additional beds to be licensed, or whether we will be relocating rooms that are in the South Tower now that are semi-private into the new private beds, because all beds that are built now and going forward must be private. Okay. As far as the patients who utilize the facility, we draw a great percentage of our patients from the Aventura area. Certainly that is part of our primary service area. We do have patients who come from what we call a secondary service area. And so they do come from, miles away as well, but the majority do come from the primary service area, which is right in this zip code and just outside of the 33180 zip code.
And then if I could just follow up on that, would you say that the capacity issue has become more of an issue since the hospital became a trauma center?
It's my understanding that the facility has had capacity issues for a couple of years now. I've been here for about a year and a half, so this whole process of getting the approval to add the beds is typically a relatively long process in our company. So we have had capacity issues for a number of years. However, we are busier in the emergency department. We saw approximately 70,000 patients last year in 2016. And so becoming a trauma center has increased our patient load from sort of two respects. One is just the volume that comes through the facility, but another issue is that often the trauma patients stay longer, and so they're taking up a bed for a longer period of time, some of them for months and months. So,
Thank you.
I just want to add that the hospital staff spoke to us probably 2 or 3 years ago about this addition before the trauma center even opened.
Seeing no other commission questions or comments, I'll open it up for public comment.
Mr. Vice Mayor, just one point, just for the record is clear, unless there's an objection, the amendments suggested by Commissioner Shelley will be incorporated by staff into the conditions of the resolution so that there's simultaneous construction and mutual conditions between items 7A and 7B as appropriate.
Thank you. And I guess all other conditions that were recommended by,
Correct, as appropriate.
Staff
Now,
report.
actually, the designs are different, but otherwise, the mutuality of conditions will apply between items 7A and 7B. Thank you.
thank you. Any members of the public that wish to speak on this item, 7A? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Excuse me, and I'll ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Mayor Weissman is absent. The motion passes.
Okay, we move on to 7B, and I'll ask the city attorney to read that resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting approval of variance to Section 31-144, F4C of the City Code to allow reduced front yard setback of 23.5 feet where a minimum 50-foot front yard setback is required, and granting approval of a variance to Section 31-144, F4C of the City Code to allow a rear yard setback of 10 feet where a minimum 25-foot rear yard setback is required by code, granting a variance to Section 31-172C2 of the City Code to allow a variance to allow a driveway separation of 38.2 feet where a minimum separation of 150 feet is required by City Code, and granting variance to Section 31-144 F4D3 of the City Code to allow lot coverage of 45% where a maximum lot coverage of 40% is permitted by code, all for a 5-story, 506 parking garage on the north portion of the Aventura Hospital and Medical Center campus, fronting on Northeast 211th Street, City of Aventura, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for approval?
Motion.
Commissioner Landman, in a second. Commissioner Shelley. Joanne, if you can present the staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I've been sworn in. I would like to enter the staff report into the record. Staff is recommending approval of an application for variance for reduced front yard setback, reduced rear yard setback, and reduced driveway separation to facilitate construction of a new parking garage on the north portion of the hospital campus on Northeast 211th Street. The applicant has submitted an application for administrative site plan approval for construction of a 5-story, 506-space parking garage at the Aventura Hospital. And through that site plan review, it was found that the front setback, rear setback, and driveway separation do require variance approval by the City Commission. I'll show up the plan on this one. This is East Dixie Highway, Northeast 211th Street, Northeast 28th Avenue. The garage is shown highlighted in yellow. The overall north portion contains the 1-story central energy plant, and no changes are proposed to the energy plant in this location. The new garage is going to be built on what is now a gravel valet parking area. It has been designed for employee use only based on the approved traffic queuing study, and it has a gated entry. So with employees parking in this garage, it will leave spaces available in the west and east parking garages for patients and tenants. Access is by way of 2 entry lanes here and 2 exit lanes here. And the architecturally, the garage matches the Garage on the west campus with similar design, color, and screening. All elevations are landscaped. And as part of this project, the applicant will complete road improvements, including curbing, sidewalk, and drainage on northeast to 11th Street, and a new sidewalk on East Dixie Highway. And this is what it will look like. So you can see it's very similar in design and color to the, and screening to the garage on the west campus now. Variance approval is required for 4 of the site development criteria. The proposed front yard is 23.5 feet, where a minimum of 50 feet is required by city code. The proposed rear yard is 10 feet, where a minimum of 25 feet is required by code. And for the driveway separation of 38.2 feet, where a minimum of 150 feet is required by code. And lastly, lot coverage of 45%, where a maximum of 40 is allowed by code. I'll put the site plan up. The reduced front yard setback is here. And again, results from the unique shape of the lot and the design of a parking garage, the constraints of designing a garage with internal circulation that works. The rear yard setback, the rear yard setback abuts the Palm Garden Nursing Home to the north and its surface parking area. The setback areas will be well landscaped to provide screening to the public street and to the nursing home. And although there are no side yard setbacks required in this zone, the applicant has provided 10 feet on each side of the garage to be sensitive to, there is a neighbor here, to be sensitive to that neighbor and to provide areas for plantings to screen that garage. The reduced driveway separation here has been approved, reviewed and approved by the city's traffic engineering consultants. Usually there's the driveway to a parking garage is one whole driveway, there's no separation, but because of the internal circulation, the design of this garage, there are 2 entry drives and 2 exit drives separated by a landscape median, and that causes the need for the parking variances. The increased lot coverage results from the narrow width of the lot in this northern part of the campus, and the applicant advises that the proposed footprint of the garage is the smallest footprint capable of accommodating the internal circulation requirements of a parking garage. The staff is recommending approval with the following conditions: that the plans submitted for building permits substantially comply with the plans submitted with this application, that a building permit be obtained within 12 months of the date of the resolution, or the approval shall be deemed null and void. However, the City Commission may grant up to a 6-month extension for good cause shown by the applicant. And the last condition is that prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy or temporary certificate of occupancy, the applicant will provide in form satisfactory to the city manager and city attorney a covenant restricting use of this parking garage to employees only, as is proposed in the traffic queuing study prepared by the applicant's traffic engineer. This covenant shall be recorded in the public records of Miami-Dade County by the applicant at its expense. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
Any commission questions? Commissioner Ratsky.
Just quickly, my understanding that there's some residential area, and have we heard from the neighbors? Has there been any objection?
Neighbors are in attendance.
Any other commission? Commissioner Landman?
I just want to say that I'm very happy to see this expansion happening. One of the biggest complaints or issues that I do hear when it comes to hospital is the parking, so I'm just very happy to see that there will be a lot more parking available for anyone going to the hospital.
Any additional commission comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll ask first the applicant if you want to make any comment. Yes, sir.
Mr. Vice Mayor, Alex Tatsmas for the record. We don't have anything to add other than to say we agree with the staff conditions. If a member of the public speaks, we may want to rebut, but as of now, that's it.
Thank you. Speaking of which, Any members of the public who would like to comment, now would be the time. Come on up. Have you been sworn in, ma'am?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please state your name, and you have approximately 3 minutes.
My name is Ita Rothstein. I live on 21121 East Dixie Highway. I have traffic constantly going down 211th Street, down East Dixie, trying to get to I-95. Once they start developing the garage, you're going to even have more traffic going in and out at the 3 o'clock, at the different time zones of people going to work. The traffic's unbearable. I can't even get into my own driveway because everyone's trying to get north or south. And it's just unbearable as it is with anywhere else, but during season, it even gets worse. Right now, you could actually get in my driveway, but usually I can't get in there till after 7 o'clock, till after rush hour is over, because it's just too congested. And if you build the parking lot, it's going to be even more congested going in and out. That's all I need to say.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to comment? Seeing none, I'll close the discussion and ask Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor, before the vote is called, just for the record, I wanted to recite that, as was with item 7A, this 7B will have the simultaneous construction and mutuality of condition clause added in by the staff to the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'll ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg,
Yes.
Mayor Weissman is absent. The motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Moving on to, 1 second, please. Now we're going back to item 6, and the mayor has rejoined us.
I'll leave. Where's my papers?
Six.
They're all in order. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vice Mayor Weinberg. Okay, item 6 is a motion for public hearing. I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the title of the item.
Thank you, Mayor. A public hearing on a motion to establish residency admissions policy for the proposed Avon Charter High School. And Mayor, if I may at this time just remind, since we have a considerable size audience, just to remind everyone of the decorum rules that the City Commission follows. Each person who desires to speak will be given 3 minutes. However, you don't have to feel compelled to repeat what someone else has said. You could briefly advise whether or not you endorse the same comments and make additional comments of your own. We also request that everyone refrain from booing or cheering or clapping so that the proper decorum is maintained. I'm sure you all understand that. Likewise, if you could avoid addressing comments against or to other speakers and refrain from any type of personal attacks. We don't see that happen in our city, but I'm sure you've seen in the newspapers where that frequently happens in other places. So therefore, being we do have a very nice crowd tonight, we're just reminding of these decorum rules. So each person will have the opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes, and no back and forth dialogue or talking. The purpose of this is to receive your input so that the City Commission may consider it carefully in the decision-making process. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. let me open the item for public comment. I'm going to request that members of the public that come up to address us to state their name and address for the record.
Yeah, Mayor, maybe I could just
Yeah.
give some additional background information for the public to consider before they give their input. Very recently, the city manager wrote to the Dade County School Board because they are the entity that actually approves or denies the city's charter high school application in accordance with state law. So the city manager wrote to the Dade County School Board and their expert staff to find out the position of the school board on the potential options for the city to use for its admissions policies. For example, the city manager explained to the county school board, the Dade County School Board, that several approaches may be considered. One proposal may be a new lottery be held when the schools open, which simply provides preference to Aventura residents. Another proposal might be that Aventura students attending ACES would automatically be moved up to the new charter high school, and then a new lottery would be held for the remaining seats, providing preference to Aventura residents. And the third proposal was that a lottery would be held at ACES, and the first 50 students who were successful in that lottery would be moved up to the new charter high school, and then a secondary lottery would be held for the remaining 150 remaining seats, while providing preference to Aventura residents. The school board staff replied back that the proposal number one would be the required one, that the new lottery be held when the charter high school opens, which provides preference to all Aventura residents. In other words, the school board staff that handles the charter school application stated that, in their view, state law requires that for a charter high school of this establishment and setup, the lottery would have to be one which provides preference to all City of Aventura residents and could not give special preference to a class of persons. The staff of the Dade County School Board is the administrative entity that enforces the charter school law, and therefore it's appropriate that the City Commission give great deference to the position and the analysis of the Dade County School Board, and accordingly I would recommend that the City Commission residency policy, which would be included in the charter school application, would provide for a lottery that provides preference to all Aventura residents, just in the same manner that the lotteries have been done for the very successful ACES school. Thank you.
Just let me make sure I heard that right, Attorney. It is your legal opinion that what the school system had advocated through the memo from the city manager, and you're agreeing with their opinion legally?
Yes, I'm agreeing that their opinion should be given great deference because a court will adhere to the interpretation of an agency that's in charge of the process. And locally, the Dade County School Board is in charge of the charter school application process. So we should adhere to their advice, and I think it was very important that the city manager sought that advice in advance and that we didn't include a policy that would ultimately not be accepted by the Dade County School Board.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Shelley, I understand you have a motion to make.
Yes, based on what we've just heard and based on my thoughts, I'd like to make a motion that would be in fairness to the entire community of Aventura based on the fact that we are building a school for the city of Aventura, and we would like it to be open to everybody's possible children admissions. I'd like to make a motion to adopt an admission policy for the proposed Aventura Charter High School that would provide for a new lottery involved with the other schools to be held, which provides preference to all Aventura residents and open to the entire city of Aventura students.
Okay, no, please. There's a motion on the floor. Can I please have a second to the motion?
Can I comment, or do I have to wait for a second?
I think you have to wait for a second, but I'll yield to.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded by Commissioner Landman. It's now open to any comments or questions that the commission has. Commissioner Weinberg, Vice Mayor Weinberg.
I have a couple of questions, a few, I guess. Number one, I'm not sure why we have procedurally a motion now. I would have preferred to make a motion after hearing from everyone that's here to say what they want to say, and again, they may be, we should take into consideration what they say, and they should be given an opportunity to be heard before we vote on anything. That's my opinion. My second comment is that I want to understand what we just heard from the city attorney, and I want to make sure that the members of the public understand what we just heard from the city attorney. So, Mr. City Attorney, correct me if I'm wrong.
Let me just make a comment, Howard. I just made a motion. This is not the vote at this point. We will be hearing everybody speak before a vote is taken.
Absolutely, but a motion's been made and seconded, and any commissioner now can comment on the motion, as is our normal procedure. The public will absolutely have the opportunity to speak, as always.
And then can we speak after the public speaks?
If that's the will of the commission, I certainly will address that.
Okay, so, thank you. So back to where I was a minute ago. I wanted to ask the city attorney to correct me if I misunderstand. And by the way, there's a school board representative here. Gerald Bloomstein is here from Dr. Karp's office, so I just want to acknowledge that. So, Mr. City Attorney, it seems to me that basically our hands are somewhat tied legally. This is not something that I certainly was aware of until very, very recently, like now. We've been given essentially an opinion from Dade County Schools that our options are, in order to have an application approved pursuant to Florida law, we must open the admissions policy must be one in which every eligible student in Aventura has an equal opportunity for admissions. Am I correct?
Yes, that's what the memo that we received and was distributed by the manager to the commission yesterday from the school board states. It references the statute 1002.33 and quotes from there the provision that the sponsor, the Dade County School Board, and the city must follow, in that the lottery has to be involved to all of the children of the residents who are seeking enrollment. That's what the Dade County School Board staff relies upon, and that's what was referenced in the memo that they sent to the city.
So hypothetically speaking, if the will of the commission was, for example, to allow automatic enrollment for ACES students, that's something that we're being told now is not acceptable?
That's right, that if the commission was to include that in its application, the school board staff is warning us that they, as the sponsoring entity and the regulatory authority, would deny that.
Okay, well, that's obviously an incredibly important development, and I want to make sure I understood it and that everyone else understands it. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other commissioners that would like to speak or make a comment? Now, I might suggest we listen to the public, and then we come back as normal. So at this point in time, there is a motion on the floor. Could the city clerk please read the motion again?
The motion was to provide for an admission policy for Aventura, to have a new lottery that would not be involved with ACES, open to all Aventura residents that would be entering high school.
Thank you very much. Anybody wishing to address the commission, please come forward, state your name and address.
Richard Daddario, 3148 212th Street, Aventura, Florida. First of all, obviously with this new development, we agree with the Dade County that it should be a fair, open, transparent admissions policy with no preferences. in a way, it seems almost ridiculous that I have to be up here talking about this. I mean, basic logic says that it's a new school with a new charter in a new location under a new management contract. There should be a fair, new, transparent, open, no preference lottery for it. And I'd just like to say that based on what we've heard today, I had 3 pages prepared to talk about. Most of them don't apply anymore. I'd just like to say thank you for all of you for listening to us. I've never dealt with a more responsive city government, so thank you. I'd like to thank all the parents that are here supporting fundamental fairness, which is that every child should have the same chance to get into the school, right? Every kid has the same potential, the same ability, the same talent, and they have the same right to be in the school, or at least have a chance to be admitted to the school, especially since, and this comes directly from the city's charter agreement on the planning agreement with Charter School USA, the school is intended to become the premier public high school option in the city, right? Every kid should have that chance to go to that premier public high school option. It should not be limited to one group. And so we thank you. I don't have any other comment to say. I think it's a fair thing for Aventura. I think it's fair to all the kids in Aventura. I think it's fair to all the residents of Aventura. And I think it's the right thing for the community to start healing from a lot of the battles that have gone on since this has come up. So thank you, and thanks again for being a responsive government.
Thank you. Mr. Daddario.
I know you can hear me. I don't know if you can see me. My name is Dr. Marilyn Frisch. I live at 3949 Cocoa Plum Circle, Coconut Creek, Florida. I am a retired attorney and retired from Dade County Public Schools for 38 years of service. And I have reviewed the Florida statute that we are discussing, Chapter 1002.33 of the Title 43 Charter Schools for the state of Florida. And I concur totally with the conclusion of Dade County Public Schools. The guiding principles for both federal and state laws is to be inclusive for all students within the municipality. Charter schools, reading specifically from the statute, charter schools shall be guided by the following principles. They must meet high standards, and a charter school in a municipality designation may be granted to a municipality that possesses a charter enrolled schools based upon a random lottery that involves all children of the residents of that municipality who are seeking enrollment. And that kind of guides you as in following state law. There are some exceptions about kids attending schools. It could be a sister or a brother that are allowed to participate, or a child of an employee in the school. But lacking any other reason, it must be an open lottery for a new high school. Now, there are guidelines also in the federal government for magnet schools. Because a child is attending, say, an elementary or a magnet school or a magnet school in a middle school, they must reapply into a lottery system to attend a high school magnet program or an IB program. It is not an automatic transition from one place to another. I'm not going to elaborate because I think Dade County Schools pretty well covered it, but the Aventura Commission is bound by state law that they must be inclusive to all residents, all eligible students in the Aventura municipality. So I thank you very much. You're better than Coconut Creek.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I wanted to take this
Can
opportunity.
you state your name, please, and address?
My name is Isabella Koopman. I live at 3081 Northeast 210th Street. I'm an ACES student going into 7th grade. I heard much about the debate regarding admissions and how it applies to students entering the charter high school, and I felt compelled to speak as I presumably would be the first class entering 9th grade. Now I sit here completely disappointed. That idea of going to high school is a daunting one and quite honestly stressful. I have friends with older siblings who are in high school and talk about late night studying, finding their classrooms on big campuses, making new friends, fending off hallway fights, learning new test-taking methods, and adapting. Forget about excelling. When I learned charter would be getting a high school, I was ecstatic. And we all were, because the things that intimidated us most about starting at a new high school wouldn't be the main stress. I would be in an academic environment that was consistent to my elementary and my middle school. And I can tell you firsthand how hard inconsistency in school can be. To exemplify, as I moved from elementary to middle school, ACES switched their math program to Eureka. It was very hard because we all struggled to keep up with the new skills we were learning. School is so stressful on kids, and doing good in a new environment makes it even harder. Knowing in advance that I will not have to say goodbye to my best friends and classmates I've studied for with 9 years at the end of 8th grade makes me happy. I hope you'll consider keeping ACES students together all through 12th grade. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Batsiba Corinne, and I live in 3131 Northeast 188th Street, Aventura. My concern, as some of the other parents here, is that as a resident with the same obligations every person living in the city of Aventura has, I believe my kids that actually right now are attending Waterways K-8 Center should have the same right to attend the Aventura Charter High School. I believe the city should provide every resident the equal right of admission, either by lottery or capacity, to this new high school. Any child resident of Aventura should have equal rights. Giving ACES automatic continuity will cut the opportunity for all the other students residents here in the city with equal rights. My daughter has just, as Isabella says, the same stressful position. Waterway K-8 Center doesn't have high schools in Aventura. So she will have to go to Crops, which is the high school that belongs for people that lives in Aventura. It's as stressful as it is for her. And I believe she should have the right to attend the high school near her house, here in her city, where with the kids that she lives with, that she knows, kids that goes to Aventura Waterways as well. Because we all live here, we all have the same obligations, we pay the same taxes, and I believe we all should deserve the same rights. So that will be it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Rafael Cafarena. I live in 3340 Northeast 190th Street. One comment or maybe a suggestion is I agree with the fairness of giving all the childs equal opportunity. However, at the same time, I think it would be a good idea to consider for incoming students applying for the kinder to have a single lottery for the whole K through 12. Because that would be, you are still meeting the requirements of the state of giving everybody the equal opportunity, but at the same time giving continuity of education to that group that was accepted. And a second comment was, or maybe a question, I don't know, I understand there was a precedent when there was an elementary established here, and then there was the middle school added. And the reality is, I don't know exactly how this was sorted out back then, but I'm guessing we're in front of a similar situation at the moment. So, did you get my point? I'm sorry.
I certainly did get your point. I took very good notes. I thought he was coming to talk. Is there anybody else who would like to? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Juan Paramo, 3158 Northeast, 212 Terrace. I was here at the meeting last week, and we were told, and this is absolutely wonderful, I appreciate that you guys approved the zoning change. This is wonderful for the city, for our kids. We were told that every charter school is not created equally, and therefore we have a wonderful opportunity right now to create a school that would allow, I guess, the most number of students to be able to apply and to participate of the charter school. I wanted to ask, is there a set number of students that will be able to be accepted to the school, or does the city have a say as of how many could be entered into each of the grades? The second question that I have has to do with how do you prove that someone is really a resident in Aventura? Meaning, unfortunately, in the charter school, not now, but previously, people that don't even live in Aventura are still part of the charter school. So I think that one thing that should be very clear is that every year there should be a confirmation of the students actually living in Aventura, right? And finally, what happens with the siblings? In the charter school, currently, if you have a sibling that is in a higher grade, automatically they get enrolled into the school. Is this something that you think should happen also in the charter high school? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm almost feeling like some of these factual questions we can answer, City Manager. Yeah, very quickly.
Hi, Marsha Weiser. I live on 3069 Northeast, 183rd Lane, 33160. There are a lot of debates whether it should go to one lottery or two lotteries, and I think a lot of the pressure is going on here. My question is, if we weren't here, and because all these people have kids that in 10 years are going to be done with high school, we as a city are going to have this school and this school system for a long time. What would we like to have? A one K-12 school in Aventura, or just two separate schools? What is best for our city?
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Not daunting at all. My name's Adam Goodman. I prefer not to give my address. I live right outside the jurisdiction of Aventura.
It doesn't matter.
No, I know. I just
You could speak here, no matter where you live, it's a public hearing.
Oh, no, I understand. I just don't want to give it out because they're public hearings. But other than that, what I really want...
1 second.
You can still proceed to speak. Thank you.
Just for unrelated reasons. With regard to that, I have no dog in this fight because my daughter is not in the city of Aventura. We moved to the zip code of Aventura thinking that we were going to be eligible for the school. We applied, we didn't get in, it was really crushing. So I do feel, though, that based upon hearing what everybody's saying, based off these suggestions, I can envision the parents who get their kids, they don't get in. And then they're stuck for 8 years saying, I can't get in, and they feel like they don't have what's best for their child because they lost a random lottery. So I applaud the young lady who is in ACES right now in middle school. I think it's great that she's here and speaking and giving a great opinion. I feel for those other parents, and I feel like if I was in that position too, I would want the commission to give everybody a fair shot to get into that school. So with regard to that, it's one of those situations, it's growing up in life that sometimes there's tough decisions and you're going to have to make new friends, you're going to have to see. But I think every student in that community should have that same opportunity to ultimately go to ACES. And hopefully it's the best school in the county. We don't know that yet, but I just, from hearing from everybody, it sounds like everybody's got great points, but I do applaud the commission for coming up with a suggestion that's fair to the citizens of the community. Hopefully my area gets absolved and brought into Aventura at some point, but we're not there yet, so.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, everybody.
Hello, my name is Rachel Friedland. I live at 21019 Northeast 38th Avenue in Aventura. I want to thank the commission. I know that the parents from Aventura Charter School, Waterway School, private schools in our community, and all the parents have been very concerned. And I guess we can all thank Dade County School Boards for taking this out of our hands. I want to let the commission know that we most support Bob Shelley's suggestion of increasing the school size. I know there are a lot of parents that would help fundraise and help increase.
Wait a minute.
I know it was in motion before here,
Okay.
but he did mention that, and I just want to state that while we know it's not a question of which children go to the school, it's going to be an open brand new lottery. We are hoping that the commission will consider increasing the size of the school or making it large enough to help accommodate the students in Aventura. And also going forward, it was mentioned that what might be in the best interest of the city is one lottery system. And I don't mean necessarily for the new high school now, but the city may want to consider in the future moving to a K through 12, so there is just one lottery system to eliminate the problems later on for the continuity of the city. And as a member of the school board of the Aventura Charter School of Excellence, I'm proud that our city is known as the City of Excellence, and I hope our new high school will be a City of Excellence high school to make us all proud.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rachel. Oh, that was hard.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Ezekiel Sar Shalom. I'm in 20335 West Country Club Drive, Aventura. I've been here for a long time. My kids do go to ACES, and I think it is a really good idea to do a lottery for the new children that are coming in. I also don't know how big the school is going to be, so that was a question of mine. Isn't there a way that you could make the school a little bit bigger so we could actually, what I'm worried about is the follow-through. We've had our kids here, not for 8 years. We didn't win the lottery initially. We won the lottery later. They came in first grade, and the second child, of course, went in kindergarten. And there's a continuity, a learning process that they went through. And what I'm worried about is if they're going to go to another school, now they're going to have to learn a new technique, a new process. So my question is, will the school be big enough for the kids that are going already in ACES? And, of course, you have to follow the law and do a new lottery for the other children that are coming in, and maybe there's enough place for all of them. Is that a possibility?
Let me at this time,
You know, what we've tentatively said, and I think it's important for everybody to understand this, I think that what Dade County Public Schools did was recite Florida legislative, the statute. They cited the Florida statute, and that's really what we're governed by is the law, okay? It's very quick. We've only known that this land is available for less than 3 months. Tentatively, the school is slated to hold 800 students, 200 a grade level. That's basically doubling the capacity of ACES. So if you had one lottery, let's say in kindergarten, it's only for 100 seats. You still then have 200 seats in 9, 10, 11, 12. But honestly, we're not there yet. You know, we have to be honest where we are in this process. So I think I addressed three gentlemen's questions in terms of address verification, city manager.
so we plan on having extensive address verification and do it annually. Just because you got in the first year doesn't mean you move. We're going to be checking on that throughout the entire process. And as the mayor said, currently, with the way the application stands, and a lot of this has come up because of the deadlines that we're up against, which is August 1st, it's 800, that's the capacity. Things can change down the road, but that's where we are now. And we're looking at 200 per grade, as was indicated. And again, what's that?
The land.
Oh, the 2 acres?
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's a small piece of property. As we know, it's 2 acres, very tight site, but it's the only option that we had, so we're following through on that. We're looking at a vertical building, possibly 4 stories. And our next step is to file the application on August 1st. We'll be issuing a request for proposal to hire an architect and construction manager within this month. And once that person is brought on, we can look at all kinds of different things in terms of what the building size will look like, and also give us the commission the opportunity, if we want to make the construction available where the foundation can hold, possibly expand the school in the future. So these are all things that we'll be looking at as we go through the process.
Well, thank you very
Okay,
much for your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else from the community? And while they're coming up, I'd like to take this minute to recognize Representative Joseph Geller and State Senator Daphne Campbell. One of those moments. And they will be talking a little bit later. Yes, Ms. Frida.
All right, I'm Frida Lapida, 20953 Northeast 30th Court, Aventura. I just want to say that we are all winners today because, thank you. For 5 years, we requested a high school. High school was the only thing that was missing from the city of excellence. So now we are truly a city of excellence. So I want everybody here to leave thinking that they are winners because this commission made it happen. We have a high school. We will have a high school. So thank you, first of all. And really, thank you for building it because it's for the future of our kids and it was about time. And I really want that now that we know that the decision is made and we can't do anything about it, just let's stop fighting about it and really start to make this school as good as ACES is. We cannot apologize. Really best school in this district. So really, let's continue on to make it the best school we can in the city of excellence. Let's stop the fighting, be a community and a community of the city of excellence. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Frida.
Hi, my name is Alejandra Alvarez. I live in 3131 Northeast 188th Street. And, I came back to Aventura just 1 year ago. I was living abroad for a while, and before that in Aventura too. And we came to what, we chose to be our new home and the home for my children. And, I still think that this is the most divisive thing that I have seen in the Aventura community. It's really painful to see a community that is called to be the city of excellence, to see this level of belief that there are citizens that have some rights and on others. And I really need to speak, especially for the school that I found, when I came, because, I joined the Aventura Waterways. And what I found is a great school. So what I really need to, point is that, Aventura Waterways is a great school, and I'm sure that our principal is going to make it better with the help of the parents that we are there. So we're going to send our kids to that high school, very good level kids too. So I really think that we need to think a little bit about this. This is not like the best school or the second best school. It's a very, very good school, and we make it. We parents make it. I think, as someone said, this is a win-win situation. Yes, because now we are all going to be supportive of this new high school. Because if there is any way, when I saw the propositions that were stated by the
attorney.
Yeah, by the attorney, I was surprised that we even considered 3 propositions where one only was really a fair and equal right one. So I think, more of these things would only divide this community, and we need to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else? Okay, I'm going to, okay.
My name is Larissa Gross. I live in the South Tower at the Point. I had a whole speech prepared, but I don't want to back down because my kids are here. I've lived in the city for 30 years. I got married here. I'm raising my kids here, and I'm planning to retire here. So I do care about the future of the city. I don't think my kids are better than anyone else's kids, and I think that no one that I associate with believes that. What I was trying to do was to take the emotion out of today and to think about if you guys could go back in time and create the perfect K-12 charter school system from scratch, how would you envision it? Would you say I'm going to do one lottery for everybody, or would you say, you know what, in ninth grade, I'm going to reshuffle everyone for a second chance? How would you envision the siblings? Would you give siblings priority, or would you be okay with possibly separating the kids up? I kind of thought that we could establish what was best for the future of the city first, and then build a school policy around that. What would be better for the future of the city, not just for the parents who are here today who are super emotional, as you can hear in my voice, about the issue. Because, like the other lady said, this school is here for decades to come, and we need to think about the growth of the city, the demand for the school. I was kind of surprised about what the attorney said, because from my understanding, I was contacting some other charter schools, and it seemed that they do have a feeder system where their middle school students, yes, they have to submit an application for the high school, but it's kind of like they feed into it, and the remaining spots go to other students. So I'm a little bit unclear about how that works, according to the federal law. Well, that's all that applies for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the high school.
And thank you, Larissa, for all of your letters. Thank you. No, I'm being very serious. It takes a tremendous amount of time, and many of the people sitting here have written 2- and 3-page letters to all of us, and I don't want you to think that we didn't pay attention to every single one of them.
Hi, my name is Eliana Silva. I live in Aventura Lakes, 213th Street. My kids go to Aventura Waterways, one of the best schools in Aventura. And my question is also, like she said, why my kids cannot have the same opportunity that the other ones? So it was my really concern. I'm so thankful the law now, did the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ivy?
Ivy Ginsburg, 3610 Yacht Club Drive. I want to say to all the parents here, you're very lucky. Some of you are going to have, your children are going to have the opportunity to go to the new charter high school. But you're all great parents. You all think both the ACES school is very good, the Waterway school is very good, and let me tell you, the Crop school is a very good high school, and it's going to offer your students, your kids, a lot. And maybe more than even the charter school can offer you, because they're going to have all kinds of sports. They have 40 acres there, and all you have to do is be involved and be supportive, and your kids are going to shine no matter what school they go to. So don't feel bad if your kids don't get in, and please don't already start expanding this school on this little 2 acres next to my apartment.
Thank you, Ivy. Yes, sir, Nathaniel.
Hello, Nathaniel Manor, 20225 Northeast 34th Court. For those of you who don't know, I am a rising senior at Dr. Michael Kropp Senior High School, and I cannot concur more with the previous sentiments that were expressed here. Kropp is an incredible school, as hopefully you guys will hear in a little bit, depending on the time from me. We'll see about that one. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I was at Aventura Waterways K-8 Center since the day it opened in 2008 up until when I graduated in 8th grade in 2014. And I've been at Kropp ever since. But I am proud to be considered an Aventura citizen, and I've been here since the day I was born. So I know Aventura, and I'm proud to be considered one of the citizens within here that lived here, and hopefully that'll come back when I'm multiple states away in a couple of years. However, in regards to the high school itself, I don't think that it should be necessarily divided into what school you go to in terms of a lottery, but a full lottery, because me as a alumni of Aventura Waterways K-8 Center, so to speak, it would have put some sort of a jab into my heart if I know that the kids that go to my school, my old school, that I hold dear to my heart, won't have the same opportunities, because they are still citizens of Aventura. They are still citizens that go here, and they are still students that will hopefully be maybe one day change the shape of Aventura as a whole. But apart from that, my opinions about that topic, Kropp is an incredible school. Don't be upset if your kids don't get into this school. And trust me, the transition is going to happen whether it's into middle school or high school or college or adulthood. It's just going to happen no matter what. And the transition is not that bad, because if you can look at me, I'm from Aventura. I've been to Aventura Waterways 8 years, and I'm the president-elect of the student government. So things can happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
can I just add before the next speaker that the mayor was the first principal of Crop High School, so it's a very good school, and it was from day one.
Hi, I'm Raquel Rothman. I'd rather not give my address, but I live in Aventura. I just wanted to congratulate all of the parents that are here tonight and all the parents that have been engaged in the community. And I implore you that after this issue is done, that you remain engaged in the community. And you guys have done a great job, and I'm happy that the commission has made the decision to build the school. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It feels like the room's a little different now than when I walked back inside. I don't think there's anyone else, so let me ask if any commissioners have any comments at this time.
Mayor, can I just jump in before the commission starts? I just want to make a recommendation and add something to the motion that Commissioner Shelley made. You know, typically we hold the lottery in February prior to the school opening. I would suggest that we move it back to October of 2018. This will give us an opportunity to do several things. Number one, it'll give the management company an opportunity to look at the cost offerings based on who's getting into the school. Number two, it'll give us a substantial time to vet all the applications to make sure they are Aventura residents, and also give the parents an opportunity way in advance, if they do not get into the school, to seek other educational choices. So I would just ask that you amend your motion.
I would accept the amendment.
Okay. I'm going to guess that Commissioner Shelley, you asked, so I'm not sure if you want.
Just a quick comment.
Yeah.
Just to mention, just to comment on something Rachel had brought up about the possibility of an expansion, and a few other people have. I can't tell you today whether that will or won't happen, but based on comments we've gotten and based on letters we've gotten, I did have a conversation with the city manager and asked if he would at least get some estimates as to the cost of increasing the size. And I believe to add another floor to the school, correct me, was something in the neighborhood of about $2.5 million for the additional floor to handle an additional number of children. So it is something that we are looking into. There's no decision being made now, but we have looked into the cost factors involved with doing such a thing. So I just want to bring you up to date that that is something based on comments that the city manager is looking into right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Any Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes, I just want to say something, that education is the pillar of every community, and I'm happy that all the parents are involved. I hope they all stay involved once the school and once this lottery moves forward, because engagement is, as some of you have stated, the most important part of a school. So I'm very happy to be part of this. And as Frida said, we're all winners. No matter how we do it, we will have a high school.
Commissioner Narodsky?
Just quickly, I'll echo what was said by Commissioner Shelley and other commissioners. With regard to the residency, we do care very deeply about that, and that is something, if you attend a lot of the workshop meetings we discuss, so the enforcement of the residency is top priority, I believe, for all of us. It certainly is for me. Just for the record, everybody who wrote to me, I appreciate that. I had a lot of conversations, I had a lot of emails, and I had a lot of phone calls, so thank you. I'm sorry if there was a slow response, but just for this or any other issue, please continue to write in, because we have to know what the community is thinking and feeling, so thank you.
Commissioner Landman?
I want to say to all the parents that are here tonight, thank you for being here. I also want to say that when reading all the emails and letters of all the parents from ACES talking about the continuity and the family and everything that you've built, I understood your rationale. I felt that, okay, I see where you're coming from. I understand. I didn't think it was coming from a bad place. I didn't think necessarily you thought maybe you're better than the other students or whatever. I understood that. I just felt that as a representative of the whole city of Aventura, it was important to provide access, equity, and fairness to all the residents. So before we knew about this statute and before we knew, I just felt that I understand where you're coming from, but I really felt that every parent, every taxpayer deserved the fair chance to once again at the high school level, even if you didn't get in, to have that opportunity again. Thank you.
Commissioner Marks.
First of all, I would like to say that I am so proud to be a commissioner in the city of Aventura with residents like you in our audience. What a fabulous group of people and how caring you are. So I want to thank you for the privilege of being able to sit here and help your children. Having said that, there's no question that the children who have gotten into ACES, of course, love ACES. It's a wonderful school. And Waterways is a wonderful school too. But I think that all of us on the commission have an obligation to treat every child equally. And so while I understand, that the ACES parents, of course, have concerns and would like to see something different, I would expect that any parent, including an ACES parent, would understand that every child deserves a chance. So I personally just want you to know that we love every child and we'd like to have every child in school, in a school within our confines. But bottom line is fairness to children is a critical factor. So thank you for being out here.
Okay, Commissioner Lamon.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, I'm a proud graduate of Dr. Michael Kropp Senior High School, so that is also a great school. All the schools in our area are great schools. That's why people move to this area. So it is a win-win tonight, and we're very happy to have so many parents here to share their opinions. Thank you.
Commissioner Weinberg, Vice Mayor Weinberg.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have to back up a little bit. It's important for me to correct the record a little bit, but let me say this as a starting point. I was elected in 2012, so I think I've been here the longest, and so it's been 6 years that I've been trying, along with whoever was on the commission with me, to get a high school in Aventura. So it's such a wonderful thing. This is a legacy. This is amazing. And everyone should be so happy, and it was a shame to see people pitted against each other in some of the emails that I received. Most of you don't know, but several years ago, I made a motion that we contribute money, that the City of Aventura contribute money to Dade County schools as a one-time payment, and in exchange for that, we would get priority seating for Aventura students at Mast Academy being built on the FIU campus, because I want as many educational options for our children as possible, and that's a fantastic school. And the vote was 6-1 against me. So I tried, because to me there is no better expenditure of our money than for our children and for our future. I have a different commission here now, one that understands the importance of education, and we got it done. We're getting it done with the high school. So when I saw some of the emails, it was unfortunate because it's almost like no good deed goes unpunished. But I just want to correct the record. I said something the last time that I was so proud of this city, the integrity of this city, and I'll say it very carefully now. What I said was, as an elected official here, and as a member of the board of ACES, if I wanted my children to go to ACES, I would have had to enter the lottery. I would not get any special treatment because that's the way this city works. We don't cheat. Now, I got emails that said, oh, just because you lost the lottery, now you're biased, okay? I never entered my children in the lottery. I'm very, very fortunate that I have 3 children that will be in 3 different Dade County public high schools. There's Dr. Karp right there from the school board. My kids will be in 3 outstanding public high schools in Dade County, which I'm very proud of. None of them are in Aventura. I will not be entering the lottery, just so you're clear on that. Now, with regard to going forward. Correct.
You don't.
With regard to going forward, look, this is going to be here for a long time after all of our children are done with school and they're in college and they're in the workforce. I think we have to plan ahead. And first of all, I hate the idea that not everyone will get in, conceivably. So I am absolutely in favor of the feasibility of increasing capacity from day one. And if it costs a number that Commissioner Shelley heard, a couple of million or more dollars, one thing I know for sure, it's less expensive to do it at the beginning than to expand the school later. Number two, I'd like to do whatever we can do within the law to raise money. Perhaps we're allowed to have naming rights. Perhaps somebody in the community wants the school named after them. Well, if they write a big check, I honestly don't have a problem with that because it's going towards the education of our children. So I know it's not something that we're deciding now, but I'm absolutely in favor of finding a way to get all of your children that want to go to that school into that school. Because I think in the future, Aventura is going to have a lot more school-age children because we're going to have such a wonderful, wonderful public charter school system, and your property values are going to go up. Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank all of you for staying, those of you that are still here, and I couldn't say it better than what Commissioner Mark said. It was a very different group of people, and the integrity, the honesty, the caring about your children and caring about everyone else's children and caring about this community has deeply touched my heart tonight. I don't think you'd find this in very many other places. You're sitting here with your neighbors. We're going to work through it together. I will just remind you, having been a veteran principal for a very long time and opened 40 schools, in high school, your children are going to make different kinds of decisions. Some of them may want to go to MAST. Some may want to go to DASH. Some may want to go and play football or play baseball. And obviously, we don't even know what this high school is going to be capable of doing because we don't even have draft architectural renderings. I appreciate Nathaniel, I appreciate Denise, Linda, everybody saying all of our schools are great. I want to recognize Louis Bello, the principal of Waterways. Please stand, Louis. And I want to congratulate the fine teachers you have. And we can't do it. We can't do it as a commission. We can't do it as a school board, and Dr. Karp, I hope I can say that for you. We can't do it without parents. And the fact that all of you are here today is just fabulous. So with that, I'm going to call the question and ask for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg,
Yes.
Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay. Now, I think we're at item 8. 8A. Yeah. Ordinances, first reading, public hearing. Okay, I'm going to ask the city, I'll give you,
We don't get to go home.
if you're all going. But let us see you again, please, regularly and often, please. We do have a state senator and a state representative here that will probably talk to you about what's happening to education in Tallahassee, and it's very important.
Should I proceed, Mayor?
But aren't I on 8A?
8A is correct, yep.
Okay, okay.
Should I proceed?
All right, I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the ordinance to be considered.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 8A, first reading, public hearing. The quasi-judicial procedure remains invoked for this item, and likewise, the record of testimony provided in the local planning agency will be incorporated into the record. If additional persons want to testify on this rezoning item, they will be administered the oath. This is a first reading of an ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending official zoning map of the City of Aventura by amending the zoning designation for a 2-acre parcel of land located on the north side of Northeast 203rd Street, as more particularly described in Exhibit A to this ordinance, from B2 Community Business District to MO Medical Office District, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date.
Can I please ask for a motion of approval of the ordinance? Made by Commissioner Marks. Can I have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Shelley. I'm going to open this item for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address this item? Seeing as there's none, I'm going to close the item for public comment. I'm going to ask if any commissioners have any comments to make. Okay, then I'll ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg,
Yes.
Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
The motion passes on first reading.
Thank you. I'm going to now ask the city attorney to read the next ordinance to be considered.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, approving an amendment to the development agreement pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida statutes dated November 8, 2006, made between Gulfstream Park Racing Association Incorporated as developer and City of Aventura to extend the term of the agreement from July 7, 2017 to July 7, 2024, to revise Exhibits A and B to the agreement with new legal descriptions for the reconfigured B2 district and MO district parcels, to add the 2-acre conveyance to the city, and to amend the vehicular access restriction to and from Northeast 213th Street, all relating to parcels of land located on the north side of Northeast 213th Street, east of Biscayne Boulevard, City of Aventura, authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Can I please have a motion for approval of the ordinance?
Motion.
Made by Commissioner Shelley. Can I have a second? Commissioner Landman. I'm going to open the item for public comment. This is crazy. Joanne, do you have a staff report for us?
I do, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you to please present the staff report.
Thank you. Staff is recommending approval of a request by Gulfstream Park Racing Association, Inc. for amendment to a development agreement dated November 8th, 2006 between Gulfstream and the City of Aventura. This development agreement relates to the development of Gulfstream's property zone B2. That's the westerly portion of their property on the north side of Northeast 213th Street. In 2006, as part of the city's purchase of 7 acres from Gulfstream for our Waterways Park, the city entered into a development agreement to preserve the existing B2 Community Business District zoning designation on the westerly portion of the parcel. This agreement expires on July 7th, 2017. The 2006 development agreement also provided that vehicular access by the public to Gulfstream Park from Northeast 213th Street is restricted to weekends and holidays on which racing events are scheduled. As part of the current agreement of purchase and sale between Gulfstream and the city, Gulfstream has requested an amendment to the development agreement to extend the term of the agreement for 7 years. It's from July 7th, 2017 to July 7th, 2024, to revise the legal description of the B2 parcel and reconfiguration of the MO parcel, which will result from the concurrent rezoning application, to provide for conveyance of a 2-acre parcel to the city, and to amend the vehicular access restriction so that access is permitted on weekdays as well as weekends and holidays as permitted now, on which racing events are scheduled. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Let me ask the applicant if they have any comments to make at this time.
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Ed Stacker, and I'm here this evening on behalf of Gulfstream Park Racing Association, Inc. We have worked very closely with your staff and concur with the recommendation and the agenda report on this matter, and would encourage you to move forward on first reading for the development agreement approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the commission? Commissioner Narodsky.
Just, Ms. Ginsburg, just so you're aware, I did express my concerns with Ms. Carr about this when we spoke about it privately. I did, obviously, the concern about the possibility of increased congestion in that area. Joanne, this is what we talked about, right? Okay. So just to make you aware, I was assured that based on our projections, I don't think that it would be creating an extreme increase in the congestion in that area, but just so you know, we do vet it and we do discuss it thoroughly, and I did share the same concern.
Let me ask the city manager. I do believe that that gate is going to be opened a limited amount of time.
So the way it exists now under the current agreement, it's for racing days and only through the racing schedule and season for weekends. What this does, it expands it 2 more days, Thursday and Friday, and again, it's only for racing. They can't use it for any other purpose. What will happen in accordance with the agreement, when development occurs in that site, that access will actually be closed down. So it's a temporary access to be used during the racing season, and in the long run, it'll actually be closed down once development starts on the site.
Any other commissioners? And I'm going to open it to public.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure I understood that from the manager. So that ingress and egress point in the long run will no longer exist?
Correct.
So it'll actually be, people who go to the track will not be able to get out into directly into Aventura. Their only exits will be Hallandale Beach, correct?
Not onto 213th Street, correct. It would have to be onto Biscayne.
Biscayne, or there's a Hallandale Beach Boulevard, which is even farther. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Open for public comment.
Hi again, Ivy Ginsburg, 3610 Yacht Club Drive. I asked that my previous comments made at the earlier meeting be incorporated, and I just had a few brief additional comments based on what we've listened to tonight. The community is very desirous of this school, and they already want it to expand, and we've already heard 2 commissioners talk about the possibility of making it larger than the proposal already of 800. And also in listening to the hospital, everybody's expanding. The hospital's expanded, and they get a variance because we need the hospital and we need beds and we need a parking garage. And then in a couple of years, the community's going to come back and say the school needs to be bigger. And I guess my question is, I really don't understand what is the point of entrance to the school? Is it going to be through 213th Street or through
At this point, as I've said, we don't even have renderings or drawings. I don't think that's even come up. We're very early in the process of planning a school. So I don't think we can honestly answer that question, but if the city manager has additional information.
I agree. We're very early on. We haven't hired an architect or a construction manager to look at those things, but we'll be looking at every possible opportunity to make the best traffic flow in and around the school over there. So at this point, I can't tell you whether it's off 213th or some other road. That will be examined as part of as we go through the process.
Well, and I just want to comment about 213th Street because there is a place to make a left turn to go into Waterways Park, and I think that's okay. Then we relocated the dog park from another location to 213th Street, which we're very pleased about, but because there was no entrance, everybody has to go to the stop sign on 213th and make a U-turn. And there is no existing place where, if you could put the map back up, where that 2 acres are, there's no place to make a left turn. There's a median in the road. So I don't see how it could possibly come from 213th Street unless it's going through that vehicular access that already exists.
Well, that access is way west of the site, so that would not work. But again, we're going to be looking at all those situations. There's a possibility we tie something in the park so we don't have another access road, but we'll look at everything that's available in that area, and we'll look at it through a traffic study as well to see what the best situation is.
I would really urge that the access point go through Biscayne Boulevard and not through 213th Street, because it is going to totally disrupt the quality of life for all of the residents in the Point, in the waterways, Marina Cove,
Mayor?
notwithstanding the benefit of the school.
Let me just say one other thing. One of the things we'll be looking at is trying to limit the number of vehicles going into that site, and there's several ways of doing that. There's providing additional buses. It's limited parking to begin with. As we said, it's only a 2-acre site, so we could limit parking, just to staff. So we'll be looking at all those things. There's also a possibility of looking at the opening hours of the school and the closing, try to not entangle them with the rush hour, maybe starting earlier or later. So we'll be looking at all those things. Believe me, the commission has, basically told me several times, we want the school, but we want to make sure it works with the community and that we try to mitigate traffic as much as possible.
Okay, and utilize the police if necessary. And, I also see that next to the Green Acres, you have the Blue Land, next to the Blue Land, you have the Green Acres, which is undeveloped land, and I can foresee you guys trying to expand in a couple of years. So I just say, I appreciate your wanting to please everybody, and I hope as much as we want to please the families and the children, that we please the other residents that live right there. Thank you.
We certainly have 3 commissioners that live on your same street that are very mindful of that. I think we're going to have very unique solutions that we're not able to really discuss tonight because we haven't, it's so early in this process, but we're very aware of 213th Street. Anybody, any other commissioners? Anybody else from the public?
I just said something.
Commissioner
Just
Naraki.
real quick in response, Ms. Ginsburg, I sit here and I cringe anytime there is expansion of anything, believe me, and just for the public record, we're all aware of the congestion. It's just, it's not carte blanche just to develop and expand. We sit and we talk about the cost of everything. With regard to the hospital, I had questions for them. I spoke with Ms. Carr prior to it. It's not that we just A-OK everything. We know but when you're expanding the hospital, that's 60 beds. So those are the kind of decisions that we wrestle with, but it's not just carte blanche free development. You should know that we really care about it, and we all live here too. So appreciate your comments.
Commissioner Mizrahi.
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that I live in the Point, as Commissioner Dr. Marks also. So we will be very aware of the quality of life. We love our street, and we're going to keep it the best. There's a lot of challenges that we need to face with this, but we have the best interests for all of you.
I forgot to ask, I'm sorry.
Come on. State your name. Please state your name.
Madam Mayor, Frida Lapidat. I wanted to ask if we still need support for the high school. Did you approach with the petition? Do we have a number that we're aware of? Like a number of how many we have until now? Just keep going. Thank you.
Those are letters or signatures of support. Okay, then if there's no one else with any comments, I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg,
Yes.
Mayor Weissman.
Yes,
The motion passes on first reading.
thank you. Item 9, ordinances, second reading. I'm going to ask if I can waive having the city attorney read it, because it is second reading, and it's quite,
Unfortunately, I have to read it.
then please read it quickly.
Mayor, An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending Chapter 31 Land Development Regulations by amending Section 3121 definitions to revise the definition of open space by amending Section 31-144 Business Zoning Districts and 31-145 Town Center Zoning Districts to add adopted amendment to Chapter 14 Green Building Program for consistency and cross-reference by amending Section 31-143D Multifamily Medium-Density Residential Districts, RMF3, and Section 31-143E Multifamily Medium-Density Residential Districts, RMF3A, and Section 31-143F Multifamily High-Density Residential Districts, RMF4, and Section 31-143G Multifamily Medium-Density Residential District, RMF3B, and Section 31-144 Business Zoning Districts, and Section 31-145 Town Center Zoning Districts to amend the maximum size of above-ground emergency fuel storage tanks by amending Section 31-191 Sign Regulations generally, to add a new temporary sign and to delete murals by amending Section 31-221 Landscaping Requirements to update the section for consistency with Miami-Dade County Code by amending Section 31-232 Subdivision Design Standards to clarify applicability of the section and to add bicycle storage facilities as a required design standard by amending Section 31-233 Architectural Design Standards by adding regulations for murals by amending Section 31-238 Accessory Uses to amend regulations for awnings and canopies and add regulations for portico chairs and sunshade devices, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date.
Very well, very good. Can I have a motion for approval of the ordinance?
Motion.
Made by Commissioner Narotsky. Can I have a second?
Second.
Made by Commissioner Shelley. I'm going to open this item for public comment. Seeing as there's none, I'm going to close it for public comment. Do any members of the commission have any questions or comments? Then please, clerk, roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks.
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg,
Yes.
Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
The motion passes on second and final reading.
I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the next ordinance to be considered, item B.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, adopting the attached Aventura Charter High School Budget Fund 191 for fiscal year 2017 to 2018, July 1 to June 30th, pursuant to Section 4.05 of the City Charter, authorizing expenditure of funds established by the budget, providing for budgetary control, providing for gifts and grants, providing for amendments, providing for encumbrances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of the ordinance?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Marks. Can I have a second? Commissioner Mizrahi. I'm going to open the item for public comment. Okay, I'm going to ask if any of the commissioners have any comments. Seeing as there's none, I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks.
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Weinberg,
Yes.
Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
The motion passes on second and final reading.
Thank you. There are no resolutions today, so on reports, I'm going to ask that Nathaniel Manor come up and give his report. And I am going to announce that Nathaniel is interning with the city.
Thank you for that, Madam Mayor. Okay, so, for those of you who don't know, my name is Nathaniel Manor. I am the president-elect of the Student Government Association, student body president at Dr. Michael M. Krupp Senior High School, and I'm the Krupp representative to the city, and I come on a monthly basis to the commission meetings to basically report on some of the achievements that Krupp has been doing within the past month, and this month especially within our graduation percentages and everything. So, Within the last month, we've had 5 honorable mentions with our Silver Knight Foundation. So that makes 105 Silver Knights in Crop's entire history, which is one of the greatest within the entire county. We had our 3rd place biomedical science research at the International Science Fair in LA, California, which is 3rd in the entire world. Our straight superior 4 instrumental groups placed, the wind and jazz ensemble, the orchestra and symphony band as well. Our state championship was won in girls tennis, and our boys water polo team won in the district championships as well. And now our class of 2017 graduation statistics go as follows. So the top 23% were honor graduates, with the highest GPA being a 5.304, which is very, very, very large. As you can tell, I heard the size. And 22 students have a weighted GPA of 5.0 or higher. The top 37% have a 3.5 or higher GPA, which is an A, and the top 59% have a 3.0 or higher GPA. 98% of the graduating class will be going to a 2 or 4 year university, which is up 1% from last year, actually, which was 97%. And according to U.S. News and World Report, we still rank within the top 4% of all schools. So for those of you who are still here from the debate and everything, I thank you all for being here, but also just remember, Crop is still an incredible school. We are still a thriving school. We're one that breeds individuals of incredible magnitude and strength, and I'm happy to call it my future alma mater in a year. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nathaniel. Let me ask if any members of the commission have anything to report. Commissioner Landman?
Just very quickly, later this month, I will be representing our community at the National Association of Latino Elected Officials, NALEO. It's a national organization, and elected officials get together from all over the country. And, you know, one of the sessions that we're going to be discussing is transportation infrastructure and all that, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I will present to the commission and bring back ideas once I get back from there.
Okay. All right, then with that, it's absolutely my pleasure and my privilege to recognize our state representative, Joseph Joe Geller, but we all just call him Joe.
I thank you, Mayor, but in the interest of protocol, I'm going to defer to my Senate colleague and let her go first,
what I have.
because they consider themselves the senior body. We just like to think of them as the other chamber.
Then let me take a second and let me recognize the senator that represents Senate District 38, our Senator Daphne Campbell.
Good evening, commissioners, and my mayor, Mayor Weinberg. Oh my God, she was in Tallahassee several times in my office, and we work very close. And in my office, we have, something we created, 15 community liaison, and she chose herself to be the liaison for Aventura. Mayor, thank you very much for that friendship and your leadership. For all the residents of Aventura, good evening. Oh my goodness, only one of you said good evening. Let's say it again, good evening. But I don't need no mic. Good evening, all of you. For those who don't know me, I'm Senator Daphne Campbell, representing District 38. I just got elected last year, 2016, and I thank you all for support. And I represent you well in Tallahassee. And you're going to get that little booklet. You see the work I do in Tallahassee. It was a challenge, and commissioners and mayors, so she knows it was a big challenge in Tallahassee this year, because it was a big fight between our chamber, the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and Governor Scott. With all these, all these fights, the only one who suffered, it was our constituents, from the entire state of Florida. And because of that, we have the session extended until May 8th, and last week we went back again for special session, and it cost every taxpayer $70,000 per day. That's what we spend for 3 days, $70,000 per day. And with all these says, the only one who gained everything is Governor Scott, who got $85 million just for Visit Florida. And we're still in a limbo for our Bill 706 night, where, Mayor Wiseman, very she concerned about it. She calls me and said for me not to support it. I spoke against it, and we wrote a letter from our office to make sure Governor Scott vetoed that bill. So I really, really congratulate all the parents who are here tonight. And one thing I'm going to tell all of you, if you didn't know, during my campaign of last year, I was campaigning for high school in the city of Aventura. I don't care if it's a charter school or whatever school, but a high school. And truly tonight I sat here, I felt so good. I said, wow, now Mayor Reisman and the Commissioner of City of Aventura going to have a high school in the great city of Aventura. Thank you very much, and may God bless. Let's give them hands again. Great job, great job, great job, great job. Because when I was campaigning, every door I went, the parents complaining about what they said. Some of them say they have to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to bring their kids to school, to Crab, or they bring them to Nova, or they bring them to, they want to FIU. So truly, a lot of parents didn't happy with that. So I really, really, really thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. You make my day, and I know as your first, like a second one after 35 years, with the previous senator. So now we're going to have our own school, which is a high school in the city of Aventura. I know you guys have a lot of challenge, but it's the first step. The next one, we're still going to build another one for public school. So that means we just started. So I know we're going to be done. If you guys need my help for the state, trust me, I will help you. If you see in that booklet, if you see in that booklet here, the second page, Aventura did have one of the project is not vetoed. So they vetoed only one with the $400,000, but one was not vetoed. But Mayor, please, what we're going to do next year, we're going to double the 400. So we're going to make Governor Scott pay. We're going to make Governor Scott paid for that vetoed. So he vetoed 400, so next year we're going to go for 800. If vetoed again next year, we're going to go for another 1,200. So we're going to keep going up until he gives us exactly what we need for. So Aventura, I need to get the money they requested, and with the great help of my great state representative Joe Geller, we work very close in Tallahassee together. So we're like a brother and sister. We make things happen. We work for you. We hear your everything, every concerns you have, and truly, the work we do in Tallahassee is unbelievable. I was at the President's Senate at 2 o'clock in the morning in his office, 2 a.m., to make sure, everything as I get it. I represent 15 cities. In 15 cities, Governor Scott vetoed only 4 cities. And the 4 cities, some of them requested 3, and they got 2 or they got 1. But, it's like just Aventura did ask for 2, and we got 1, and 1 is vetoed. So I thank you guys for support. I know my great friend here told me, don't speak too long, because he's hungry. He said, my belly wants food. Senator Campbell, I know if you take that mic, you're not going to live. So my representative, my good friend, my brother, Joe Geller, please come forward. I'm not going to speak too long. Thank you very much for support, and I love you all. Thank you. Let me give you guys my cell number if you need me, please. 786, if you have a pen. My cell is 786-274-0166. I'm a public servant, and the office is 633 Northeast 167th Street. Is at North Miami Beach, and I'm hoping the mayor give me a space here in Aventura, so you don't have to go all the way to North Miami Beach. Mayor, please, got a little city, little satellite office for me, so your people don't have to go all the way to North Miami Beach. So we are at North Miami Beach, 633 Northeast 167th Street, 11th floor, 1101. Let me give my cell again. I see you looking at me. 786-274-0166. I do have 2 staff here with me, my chief of staff. Liz, Arnold, stand up. Everybody could see you. And the next one is Marie. They are all here to help you. We do everything in our office. Everything. Food stamp, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. If you don't get all your money from Social Security, come to my office. I make sure the President Trump give you all your money. So you don't have to worry about it, because we work federal and state. We do local, state, federal. You see, the mayor and the commissioner, they are my best friends. We work very close together. Whatever you need, you come to us. It's one body. So we don't have, they are commissioners, I am state senator, he's a state representative. We don't work like that. We work like a one family, one community, one body together. Thank you, mayors. Thank you, commissioners. I love you all. Oh, I didn't say hi to my good friend Eric. Eric, how you doing? This is another good one, the city manager. So he get things done. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Senator. That was great, and it's great to be with you. I'm Joe Geller, residing on 213th Street in Harbor Village, so please do be careful about 213th Street for those of us who live there. On the other hand, let me just say that as the father of a 10-year-old, we're very excited that you're moving forward. My daughter will be going to school here in the city this year. We're happy to be proud Aventura residents, and I'm thrilled to hear about the progress of Gwen Margolis High School. Just as a thought. So I'm very glad to be with all of you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Manager, Madam Clerk, and especially to be with those of you who've stuck this out. So we appreciate that. I should take the opportunity also to introduce my legislative aide, Brian Vallejo. Works very hard for us. Thank you for being here, Brian. And I should add that when we spoke at Surfside last night, I did not. So I wanted to be sure I got that done early and out of the way because Brian works very hard. Let me just say very candidly to you, this was a miserable session. It was not only no fun, but it didn't do what we needed to do. And I wish I would say otherwise, but that's the reality. Not enough good stuff got done. A few things, but not enough. On the other hand, there was some bad stuff that got through, but not nearly as much bad stuff as they tried to pass. So in the sense that we blocked a lot of bad legislation and got a few good things done, could have been worse, but an unpleasant session. And the fact that we had to come back for 3 days for a special session just last week really does not reflect well on the legislative leadership. Nonetheless, there's always next year. I'm a Democrat in the State House, so I have to be an optimist because otherwise you can't just show up there. It's not easy. I do want to dig into a few of the specifics. I'll try not to be long, but I think it's important. And I do want to mention, by the way, that I appreciate hearing from so many of you here in Aventura, as well as so many of the citizens. It's a privilege to represent the citizens of Aventura, speaking as one. I know Commissioner Landman came up and visited us. We had her introduced. And in the past, I've seen so many of you up there, so we thank you. A hallmark of this session was supposed to be transparency and a revised process. At the end, the final deal was cut behind closed doors, and members from both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican, were excluded. That's regrettable. It's not how we should operate. There was a new procedure that was an attempt at transparency, that every appropriation had to be in a member bill in the House and tied to a specific member, which sounded great, but we were inundated with thousands of them. Now, I sit on a number of committees, including the Transportation and Tourism Appropriations Sub. I also sit on Commerce, which is a pretty important committee, and as the ranking Democrat on Tourism and Gaming Control, and some others. But I have to say that in that appropriations sub, the thousands of bills that came to that sub and the other subs, the natural resources sub, the education, it was impossible to even keep up with the volume. So, it sounded like a good idea, but it actually set us back quite a bit in terms of process. Education, we did not do well. We just did not. It started with this nonsense about schools of hope. Now, I know we have a wonderful charter school here, in Aventura, and I know that this high school is going to be wonderful. But with the exception of Aventura and Pembroke Pines, here in South Florida, most charter schools are not municipally operated. Now, charter schools are public schools. I'm not against them, but I do think we need to fund our traditional public schools better than we've been doing. And I would tell you that municipal charter schools are a different animal. They are just not the same as others. We have problems where charter schools get public funds. We don't own the property. The schools fail. They keep the improvements to the property. We could do something about that. We have not. At the end of the day, a lot of these charter schools, some do a wonderful job, but they're there, frankly, to suck money out of the education system for the benefit of private institutions. Not so with municipal charter schools. It's very different. I would tell you, in my opinion at least, municipal charter schools are doing exactly the opposite. They're pumping money into the education system. They're making additional resources available to help with the education mission, and that helps the public schools too. So, I'm proud of what we're doing here. I think Pembroke Pines has a great institution, but when they tried to get $50 million for public they call it PICO, capital outlay, for charter schools, not a matter of principle, but fund our traditional public schools adequately first. Some good things. It ended up with one big bill. Things that had been defeated all ended up in this 7069. Now, there's some things I'm very much for. I'm a passionate believer that we need to mandate recess, particularly for our elementary school kids. They are not little learning robots. They're children, and PE doesn't get it. PE's great, but we need to have time for them to just blow off some steam and be kids. That's included in 7069, yet I'm one of those who have urged the governor to veto 7069. It's a bad bill, and is so often the case in Tallahassee. They hit you with the carrot and stick approach. There's a carrot in there that sounds great, but boy, when that stick is hitting you in the head, it doesn't feel good. And they put us in that posture repeatedly. If you want to see something worthwhile, you have to go along with something awful. Higher ed, I was so happy that we had finally an increase in funding for the Bright Future Scholarship Program, and today the governor vetoed the higher ed bill. Now, even last night, I was speaking to one of the city commissions and said, I hope that doesn't happen. Sure enough. This year, we're still going to see the increase in Bright Futures because it's in the budget in proviso language. So for this year, we're okay. But this is a program that provides hope for people of modest means across our state. Your graduates, Dr. Marks, I'm sure plenty of them have taken advantage of this. And it's just a shame that we didn't have this moving forward. The environment is another area where, again, we just didn't do enough. There was a big project that the Senate President pushed for this reservoir south of Lake Okeechobee. And I'm not one who thought that this project was the top priority in years past, because we had other things we were trying to do to preserve our water supply and to buy public lands in keeping with the voters who voted for Amendment 1. Protecting springs, protecting aquifers. But we did those things. By this year, I thought that reservoir was the right thing to do. And it was a good move, and I support it. And that's one of the success stories, and I think it will provide help with the runoff from Lake Okeechobee that goes into these estuaries, east and west. But again, there's a good thing, and yet no money, zero money for Florida Forever, the land buying program. Nothing. Also, $300+ million in cuts to the Department of Environmental Protection. And nothing done about climate change or sea level rise. Nothing. Those of us, I mean, my district that runs along the Intracoastal, starting at Surfside and going to the Dania Cutoff Canal, we're like the poster child for sea level rise. How can they do nothing? Just a shame. Just a shame. Healthcare. Over $500 million in cuts to our public hospitals. Now, they say that money is going to be replaced by federal dollars, and I hope that's true. But we haven't seen the money yet. Where's the money? Now it's a promise, and I don't know how much we can rely on promises from Washington these days. This just compounds the biggest mistake that this legislature has made in recent years, going back a couple of years, when we refused to accept federal money to expand Medicaid. And not small amounts of money. Over a 10-year period, literally $50 billion. Understand, if you're poor, you get Medicaid. But when you get a job and you start to bring in some money, in our system in this state, you're now making too much money, you lose your Medicaid. What kind of incentive is that for people to find employment? It's ridiculous, and it's a bad idea, and don't think the problem is limited to health care. That ripple effect, the $50 billion, a lot of which we have to backfill in the budget every year, that could go to solve a host of problems that we have in this state that remain unaddressed. In criminal justice, I mean, some things, there finally is funding for, this is shocking, 10,000 rape kits around the state of Florida never processed. And now there's money to finally get them processed. I mean, that's disgraceful that it happened, but at least it's being addressed. There was some moves towards a very good program called civil citations, both for juveniles and for adults. So people who commit minor crimes aren't stigmatized, aren't taken out of society, so they can be employable. They don't get away scot-free, but they're given a civil citation like a ticket. They may be given community service, they may be given fines, but they're not stigmatized. We almost got this one done, but the House and the Senate had minor differences. They couldn't reconcile them. Hopefully next year that one will happen. I will say one thing, I should mention, pay raises for state workers, long overdue, but again, a price tag that says we're going to mess with the Florida retirement system, FRS, one of the strongest retirement systems in the country, and they're messing with it. They're destabilizing it. That's their price for approving the increases in pay. And of course, again, they're sweeping the Sadowski Trust Fund. We'll come back to that. On the other hand, the tax cuts, for once, were not awful. They were not big business getting money at the expense of all the rest of us. Most of the tax cuts were targeted towards working families. Tax cuts to buy hurricane supplies, we just had that. Tax cuts for back-to-school supplies. Things like this that help real families, and also an attempt to start, finally, a down payment on rolling back this ridiculous tax on commercial leases that we charge in this state. 49 other states don't have this. Only Florida. I mean, you would think we would get the hint. Finally, a start to reverse that. So let me just say, kind of in summary, some good, some bad. Good ones, the pay raises for state employees, but the stick is to destabilize FRS. $167 million for this reservoir for Everglades restoration, but nothing for Florida Forever. And these deep cuts in the Department of Environmental Protection. I will say one thing came out of the special session, to our surprise. They actually found $50 million to begin to repair the earthen dike that runs around Lake Okeechobee. Long overdue, my God, if that failed. We've seen what it did with Katrina in New Orleans, a terrible disaster. And now we're finally taking a step to fix it. So that was one good thing out of the special session. A big increase finally in Bright Futures, although I'm disappointed that the bill didn't go forward. Tax cuts were modest this time, some relief to the clerks of the court so that our system of justice can operate better. They'll tell you not enough. They're right, but at least again a start. Yet, messing with FRS, hundreds of millions in hospital cuts, no funding for Florida Forever. We're still hoping that the governor might veto this omnibus education bill. You know, in the special session, we did find another $100 in FEFP funding, okay, per student. Now, that's great, and you never want to say no, and we supported it, but we're so far in the red in terms of our funding that we've not restored back to the Great Recession funding. This is the third largest state in the country. How can we be so far below average? We shouldn't be average. We should be above the curve and doing something right. So another terrible problem. And I said I'd come back to the Sadowski Fund. That's named after Bill Sadowski, and it's the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And I just want to tell you that I knew Bill Sadowski. He was a wonderful guy. I think it's great it's named after him. But as I told one of the committees, as a lawyer, the words trust fund mean something to me. And if I treated my trust account the way they treat these trust funds, where they raid the money regularly, I wouldn't still be a lawyer. I actually said we should change the name of that program. Not take Bill Sadowski's name off, but call it the Bill Sadowski Affordable Housing Lack of Trust Fund, because that's what they engender by not using the money for the purpose it's intended. So we had this special session. We found a little money for education. They reversed some vetoes. They actually overrode the governor on some vetoes for some higher education funds. They found this money to help repair that earthen dike. We finally passed a medical marijuana bill in keeping with the wishes of the voters. By the way, it's a bad bill, but at least it's something. It's a place to start. But, you know, the best example I can give you for what happened. By the way, how are all these things funded? Vetoes. You know, here, where, as the senator pointed out, we worked hard to get a couple of things in the budget. Aventura, as the manager has told me repeatedly, rarely asks for much. But there were a couple of projects on 191st Street that really needed some help, and we got the money in the budget. Actually got in more than the request. I got a call from the press and they said, well, how did that happen? And I said, they were worthy projects. And sure enough, the biggest one for the stormwater retrofit, the governor vetoes. It wasn't easy getting it in there, you know, but at least the other 100, thank gosh, for the drainage, at least that's survived. And let me tell you, compared to a lot of the cities around here in South Florida, that by itself is a miracle. But to close, the best example I can give you, we had a bill during the special session. All session we heard about corporate welfare, and we had to shut it down with the economic development of fund. We get to special session, and now they're going to finally restore the funding for Visit Florida, with a lot of, you know, restrictions that are appropriate. These are public dollars, but they were going to put it back to the full level, $75 million. Great. Tourism is very important to us. Two of the committees I serve on look at just that. But coupled with it was an $85 million slush fund for the governor for so-called economic development that has basically no guidelines, no restrictions, no telling him he spends it anywhere he wants to, basically without oversight. I personally filed an amendment to split that into two so we could vote for the tourism money and not have to vote for the economic development slush fund. Amendment failed. At least we're getting the tourism money. So to wrap up, I'll just say this. A few things did happen. A few things happened right. And a lot, oh my God, the things they tried to do. One, I can't sit down without talking about the assault on our cities and counties and school boards. The absolute assault on home rule, where they tried to do everything from dictate the days that you could have election, to tell you that you could only raise taxes every 3 years. And by the way, any raise, in their opinion, means anything above the rollback rate. And even then, they said it would take an 80% vote of the governing body. Now, for the 5-member bodies, 4 instead of 3 doesn't sound so bad. But as I pointed out, apparently they don't do math so well up there. For like our school board or the Broward School Board, 80%, 7 of 9 is only 77. So that means 8 out of 9 members. Ridiculous. And even then, they would have required a 60% vote of the electorate. I mean, what is that? And they wanted to repeal basically every local government regulation that regulates business and only reenact them, given a couple of years, only reenact them if the legislature passed them. For some reason, it seems my esteemed colleagues, I call them that because sometimes they get me so esteemed up, they think when they walk through the doors of that building, they become much smarter. Believe me, it's not true. And they don't seem to understand that the same constituents who elect local government are the same people who put us in Tallahassee in office. I don't understand how they don't see. They're equally wise in making those choices, and yet it was an all-out assault on home rule. I'm proud to tell you that the Florida League of Cities named me one of their home rule champions for the past session for standing up and fighting for your rights and the citizens' rights to self-determination. Believe me, having been a mayor myself, I know you can't go to the grocery store without hearing from your constituents when you're in local government. Good. Tallahassee does not have anything close to a monopoly on wisdom, and they need to respect local government elected officials. I'm happy to tell you that in large measure this year we held the line. I hope we can do it next year. So with that said, that's what happened up there. Could have been a lot worse. Some good stuff got done, just not enough. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay, let me thank both our senator and our representative. Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the commission? Commissioner Narodsky.
Had it real quick, how are we on the cell phone ban?
There is something that passed that said that there are going to be the rights to put these little mini towers, at least on existing poles. Construction of new poles is another issue.
I'm sorry, that is interesting too. I refer to the driving with a cell phone.
Texting?
Yeah.
There's more concern certainly over texting than speaking, particularly if you have a hands-free device. I didn't see much motion on the ban on texting. The good news, if there is any on that front, is hopefully within a relatively short period of time, not tomorrow or next year, we're all going to be in our driverless cars and it'll be less of an issue. So technology may cure that problem. Thank you all very much. And
anybody else? All right, seeing as it's...
Appreciate the privilege of
No,
representing.
we thank you both. Thank you. Sure.
All the bill passed, we have it here for this year, and if you don't see driving and texting, so it failed. So most of the bill failed this year because of the fight between the two chambers. That's what happened.
I want to thank you, Senator Campbell. This is really a wonderful document, and I'm sure we'll all read it. I want to thank everybody for staying as long as you stayed tonight, including my commissioners. And can I have a motion to adjourn? Made by Commissioner Shelley.
Second.
Anybody opposed? We're adjourned.
Wait, Enid.